All right, perfect. So good morning, everybody. I'm glad you're here with us. And again, welcome to our Summer Learning Framework webinar on enrichment. This is the 6th in a series of webinars, and we're super excited to be with you today. I'm Christine McCormick, and I'm the state coordinator for TEA's 21st Century Community Learning Centers program, which is also called Texas ACE. And that's what I'll be calling it throughout this presentation. And I'm joined today by several folks, but I'm going to point out right now, Andrew Hodge, TEA's Director of Innovative Instructional Models, and he's going to share a little bit more in these next few slides about the Summer Learning Framework, the webinars, and the tools available.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Christine. And joining us also today from TEA is Brian Dorn, who is our manager of the Additional Days School Year Initiative, which really excited that essentially pays for districts to give extra days of instruction for students. So we have other webinars on that and a recording on that that's available, but wanted to highlight Brian. Also very excited to have Brenda Ware here as well. Dr. Michnick from Region 12, who is going to be talking here in a few minutes, and Mr. Torres as well. So just a great crew with us today, and to the folks that are on, we're just very excited, A, about enrichment, but B, that y'all are here with us today. And so welcome. This is, as Christine mentioned, part of what we're calling the Summer Learning Framework. And that Summer Learning Framework is designed to help you all with designing, planning, onboarding, different pieces of everything that goes into a summer learning program, which is a lot. And so to help y'all do that, we have developed a statewide webinar series, and that helps with design, academics, enrichment, operations for summer programs. And joining that webinar series are tools that can help you do some of the things that we're talking about. And we hope that they're helpful for y'all. I do want to call out that there's examples in those tools as well, a lot from Texas districts. And if you do have a tool, some kind of resource that you find helpful, go ahead and send that over to texashomeLearning@ta.texas.gov. We'd love to take a look at it and share it, if you don't mind, with other folks across the state, just so that we can all work together and continuously improve for the sake of our kiddos. And lastly, through our Summer Learning Framework, we're able to offer in conjunction with Texas Home Learning. If you back up one more slide.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good. We're multiple people. This is always fun when you have multiple people steering the presentation, but we go with it, right? It's no longer 2020. We've learned how to just roll with it.
What we do.
We do have Texas Home Learning summer units, which folks that are saying, you know what, we need to solve for that academic component of our summer program. And so what we've done is work with our Texas Home Learning publishers to essentially recommend this is a unit for either pre-K, K-12 math, or K-12 RLA for folks to use this summer if they find it useful. Again, all of this is all completely optional. It's available for you if you're interested in using it to the extent to which that it actually helps you out. One quick plug, and we'll come back to it towards the end here, is if you do want to use the CHL summer units, but you want extra support, you want printed instructional materials, and you want stipends, $1,000 stipend for educators that are participating in it, we have an initiative called the COVID Recovery Instructional Materials Support Initiative, CRIMSI, because that's a lot easier, that you can apply for. Again, totally optional. You can find all this information out at texashomelearning.org. But for the statewide webinar series, if you do switch over to that next slide, you'll see kind of where we are. And we have completed a handful of webinars, but we are in the Enrichment for Summer part of our series. We have a few more live webinars that you'll be able to sign up for. But all this information, these slides, is recording available at texashomelearning.org/summer, again, for you to use as you see fit. All of these supports, all of these resources, all of these tips, like separate from each other, aren't as helpful as like the whole picture. And so what we've developed as a part of the Summer Learning Framework is this Summer Learning Program tool that we specifically want to highlight for folks today. This is essentially a tool that's available on our website. If you go to texashomelearning.org/summer, you can see it. It's a few spaces down, and you can check out that tool. you can use it to the extent to which it's helpful, but it's really there as a planning tool for y'all to design that program. So that summer learning work plan tool, we're in the enrichment section of this, and we'll go ahead and start moving towards that information while folks are here. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Christine. Before I do, just want to say this is designed to be interactive. So I know folks are already lively in the chat. Got a lot of really warm welcomes and good morning to you all as well. Please submit questions. There are going to be a few times where we actually pause and request your input and your questions. Again, this is about the collective impact of this group that's on this call and folks that are listening to it as a recording, and we want to make sure that we pull from all the experts that are in the field as well. So with that, I'd love to turn it over to Christine.
Thank you, Andrew. Lots of great stuff going on. Super excited about this series and really glad to be a part of it. So during this webinar, we're going to be joined by a few folks that we've already mentioned here a little bit. We'll share a little bit more about them. These folks are from our Texas-based programs, and they're here to help us provide some perspective on high-quality enrichment. And these are the folks that work every day to help prepare frontline staff to deliver high-quality enrichment programs. So they're on here today to help share some of their approaches to enrichment activity alignment and high-quality partnerships between programs and providers. So we hope that today you come away from this webinar with a better understanding about how to develop content for your summer enrichment program that's high quality and impactful for kids, and also learn about ideas or come away with brainstorming and ideas that help you learn how to tap into your community resources that you can use in your programs. Lots of good stuff out there. So let's get started. So what is the purpose of high quality summer enrichment? Well, there are many, but we've bucketed them into three categories here. So particularly for campus-based programs, our summer programs can provide students with access to enrichment opportunities that they might not otherwise have. It's an important role that we play in public education. So this access helps keep kids on track in their academic progress, college and career readiness, as well as their social development. Summer provides educators an opportunity to use enrichment to address learning loss and to meet those student goals, academic or otherwise. So this coming summer, of course, we're not only addressing regular summer learning loss, but we're also meeting a more prevalent need to accelerate learning to help address the learning loss due to COVID-19. And then finally, of course, there's time in the summer to decompress a little bit and have some fun. And summer enrichment programs can blend academics, physical education, nutrition, social skills in appropriate youth developmental ways for kids to participate in fun, engaging activities and that students want to go to. And so it's important to know that we know that when students are engaged in their programs, that they get better outcomes. So I can't stress enough about how engagement is an important component of high quality enrichment programs. And research tells us that high quality enrichment programs do make a difference in student outcomes, whether those outcomes are academic or non-academic. So we not only see increases in grades and assessment scores and school day attendance, but we also see social development, like confidence, peer-to-peer relationships. And so those outcomes are tied to high quality enrichment programs. So when you have high quality enrichment programs that engage students and students are engaged in those, then you can expect to see outcomes that transfer into all aspects of a student's life, including the school day. So it begs the question then, what is high quality? there's a lot of information out there about what quality is in enrichment programs, whether it's after school or summer. And the Texas ACE Blueprint is one example of one of those documents. So the Texas ACE Blueprint is what we use in the Texas ACE program to define the quality characteristics of our enrichment programs. So the quality standards defined in the blueprint draw on research, and they generally align with elements that you'll see in other sets of standards around the country. So for example, you'll see things like enrichment should be grounded in documented student needs. You need to invest in quality needs assessment in order to actually serve students and expect outcomes that address their needs. Also, coordination between the enrichment program and campus staff is super important, as well as top-down support from campus leadership and district leadership. Enrichment also provides opportunities to embed youth development and skill building in ways that the school day cannot. So this space gives us that extra time where we can often do things that can't be done during the school day. So when we coordinate with the school day, when we're aligned with what we know about our kids that's grounded in data, and when we use these opportunities to blend academic and non-academic skill building into activities, that's when we see high quality. And those are just a few of the elements. So we could actually do like a whole class just on this topic. But in general, high quality programs will engage students in learning, so you have their attention. And those engaged students, they like to come to the program, so they come to school more. They're ripe to learn, and giving educators an opportunity for additional time with students, it can never be a bad thing, right? So more tangibly, some high quality elements we see are low ratios. We look for less than 15-1, energetic and motivating staff. And when you walk into a program, you should see a lot of energy. And then also giving students some voice and choice, like students vote with their feet, right? If they have some say over at least a portion of their program, then they're more likely to get there and come there. And so finally, high quality programs also involve family members. Family is one of the most important influencers of student success. And so involving family members in their child's education and also providing opportunities for those parents to access services or their own learning opportunities can really help the entire family. So that is something to think about as well. So understanding your students' academic and other needs will ground you in what you need, what types of things you want to offer as far as activities go. So you want to align your enrichment activities with student needs and think about academic and non-academic needs. So when you're thinking about, and really these are in two columns, but really you have an opportunity in enrichment to really blend these together. And we'll have some examples about how to do that further on in the presentation. But for the purposes of this, we have this separated out so you can think about it in these two ways and then blend them. So academics, understanding the data, what are those needs, using comprehensive needs assessment, working closely to plan with academic instructional staff. So when the after school or summer program works with the instructional staff, that's when you get really high quality activities for kids. And also thinking about what are the actual things that we can do, what are the best practices that we can deliver in this space, and things like high dosage tutoring and low ratios are things to think about. And then creating cohesive but expanded experiences across the school day into this space, and really sharing that space and being able to use your time wisely with kids to get all of those things done and hit all those marks that we want to hit. And then summer programs have a huge opportunity to help students academically by addressing their non-academic needs so that kids are ready to learn. We know if they're struggling with peer-to-peer relationships or having their basic needs met, that it's going to be really difficult to drive academic achievement. So knowing your kids, understanding what's going on in their lives and helping them to build those softer skills and sense of safety that helps them be ready to learn is something that you really want to think about when you're doing your enrichment programming. Again, that giving them that choice gives them a super feeling of empowerment. I get to come to this program and I get to do the things that I like. Really helps kids build confidence and leadership. And you also have opportunities to embed in your enrichment activities social development. Let's do teamwork, let's have leaders, give people roles and responsibilities. And then I just have to mention that, if we're hungry or tired, we're not going to be good learners. Enrichment programs provide opportunities for nutrition, exercise, and just those social experiences that are important to let us decompress and be ready to learn. So this has been a lot of information. So let's just take a little bit of a brain break and absorb what we've heard so far. So to summarize, understanding students' academic and non-academic needs helps you build an engaging program that students want to attend. So take a minute to share in the chat, maybe what do you know about your student needs at this point in the year? Do you know what they need this summer yet? If you do, put that in the chat. I'm interested to know, is it academic? Is it non-academic? Do you know specifically? Is it general? If you don't know, what steps do you need to take to really understand that? Is this something that you've thought about? So let us know how that resonates with you. Or if you have any questions so far, also you can put those in there.
Yeah. Well, Christine, we're getting a lot of really good responses in the chat from folks that are on with us today. Definitely seeing a lot of our students need help in academics, specifically RLA is where folks need assistance. Seeing some information about want to make sure that our students have the confidence and good speaking skills, and thinking about enrichment as a way to do that. Also hear general kind of more the soft skills approach too, and making sure that students have those emotional supports that they need. A lot about collaboration, socialization. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
A lot of both. A lot of both is what we're hearing, which is great because that aligns with what we know is effective in terms of research in schools.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of feedback from the field that, that it may be even more important this summer to spend some time really focusing on students' recovery needs before we push them into accelerated learning. And so I think that's just going to be a really important role for us moving forward. So that's great. I really like the idea of this, of the speaking skills. We do see programs that do like speech or leadership, or you can build presentations into your activities and make it a safer space, because we have those lower ratios for those that might have a little fear of getting in front of others or be a little shy. It can make it easier in this setting. So great information. Love reading these. Okay, so we're going to move into this next section of this. So we're going to walk through this framed with these three questions. So when you're thinking about, well, what am I going to do in my program? What are my actual activities going to be? we want you to think about what resources are around you, basically, starting with what's in your district, what's on your campus. There's a lot of things that happen. So think about, maybe you have enrichment programs already in place. Maybe there's an ACE program somewhere else in your district. How can you build on those summer programs? On this slide, the right side has a list of common activity types. So you can think about, as you're brainstorming, like these are the types of things we typically will see as activities. So I think when we're talking about what's already in place, a really good example is we've all got academic curriculum, right? And this is where we want to see an impact. Ultimately, our programs share the goals of driving academic improvement. So if we can use the existing academics and build on that, build enrichment activities out of that, that's great. All of these things in this middle column are just examples. This is an example of me brainstorming, pretending I'm on a campus and I've got my academics, maybe I've got a CTE program and I've got these other things. So it's maybe a template that you can use to kind of sketch out your ideas based on what you have. It's a great place to start. And so when you're looking at lessons that happen during the day, the academic curriculum, talk to the academic instructors about what they're using during the day, as close as you can get in real time to what those lessons are during the academic portion. And you can expand on that in enrichment and use that material. That's probably the best benefit for the students. We're seeing more and more companies build enrichment into their lessons. So that alignment has already been done for you. If not, aligning with curriculum that's actually being taught helps, and then having fun with that with the kids is what we're recommending. So you might even look at this approach as having shared responsibility with the school day for their academic goals and working with the academic component as a basis to work from. Then you have an opportunity to develop activities that supplement your curriculum and specifically address student academic and developmental needs. So for example, on texasHomeLearning.org, there are free resources up there for anybody to access. And so we went through those and pulled out, this is only 2 examples, and there were many. So for example, the PhD Science is one of the resources up on Texas Home Learning. And this example here on the left side is an enrichment example that's embedded actually and available just to pull down from there. And it's aligned with a science lesson that's aligned with TEKS. And this is a hands-on windmill project. So students can create a windmill and learn about energy and how it produces light. And then this example over on the other side is from the ST Math curriculum. And this is really cool because this is one of several YouTube videos that they've developed and are available to everyone. And this is working our exercise and bodies into math. So this is an example where Pi Day was just last month. So I pulled this one down, and Pi Day activities and movement around working with Pi. So lots of fun stuff. Endless opportunities. If you want to check these out, go to texashomelearning.org. And if you want any help identifying those curriculum, just reach out to us through that website, and we can help you find more enrichment activities. But also look at the curriculum that you use, and you may find that that's built in there. So another common example of resources already in place. I'm going to take a second. Andrew, am I moving too quickly through this? Are there any questions about that?
We don't have any questions in the chat, so I think we're good to go, and we'll
Okay.
keep going. If folks have questions, throw them in the chat.
I just have a lot to cover, so let me know if I'm moving too quickly through anything. So another common example is state and federal programs on campuses. We all have those. So I thought this would be a good example to highlight this process of using existing resources. So you can look at, we know you have Title I programs probably. You may have migrant programs and others that have requirements or can be used during the summer. So investigate into what is being used in the summer and how can we tap into that and to build enrichment into it. How can we tap into required summer school and build supplemental around that? Are you an ADSE campus? Do you have additional days school year funding that can be used for summer? And another really important area to think about that most campuses use if they're offering summer programming is summer feeding programs. So in enrichment, food is always a draw, right? So in enrichment, we have for after school, we have after school snacks for summer. We have summer food programs, and there are many options. I wanted to share this with you guys, not only because the food is an important resource for any summer school enrichment program, but also that during COVID, this time last year, as we entered into summer, the food programs were the vehicle in many cases by which we were able to actually see our students and check in with them. Our enrichment programs developed kits that they would put into the food delivery packages as parents and families picked up food. We got to see the kids, do little checks on them. And so the food is something everybody's driven to come for, but it gives us opportunities to interact with kids. And we were able to send things home with them. And I think it really helped everybody out. But the point here is that there are summer food programs. Again, this summer, there currently is a waiver that started last summer that apparently extends through this summer, or at least part of it, through all of it. This is your resource. Is the Texas Department of Agriculture's squaremeals.org is where everything you need to know about summer food waivers, summer feeding programs are up there. So I wanted to make sure everybody had that because there was some confusion as these waivers rolled out last summer. We can help you somewhat at TEA, and I can help you somewhat if you have questions about summer feeding programs. But ultimately, this is where I would send you. So just a huge shout out, though, to those summer programs that used the food delivery to help kids last summer. If you're thinking about remote and people are still picking up their food, that's always an option to continue doing that. Lots of success with it. So now I want to bring in one of our amazing project directors from our Texas ACE program, Dr. Nicole Michnick, to talk about creating enrichment activities in this space. Dr. Michnick oversees a cohort of Texas ACE grantees that are in really rural districts in Central Texas. And so when the pandemic closed down these campuses, she was able to work with the coordinators in each of those districts, so 7 districts, and they were able to develop a process for using the free Texas Home Learning curriculum to develop enrichment activities that could be done in person or remotely. So I'm going to turn it over to her to talk about kind of what they did, and I'll kick it off just with a question. Dr. Michnick, first of all, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having us. I'm excited to share about what we do.
great. Well, I'm super excited that you're here. So tell me about a little bit more about this lesson. We chose a lesson to kind of highlight what we want to talk about, which is, how do you decide what lessons to do, and why was this one that stood out to you?
So once we have identified the students that are attending our program, whether it's in after school or during summer programming, we survey our kids to see where their interests lie and kind of what they want to see. And then we also look at the school needs, specifically their academic needs, but also their social emotional needs and just other communication skills that they might need. And then we try to find activities that can bridge the two of those. So this particular activity was a bridge building challenge. So it was a good base activity, but then we could kind of customize it. So we could pull in math if we needed to focus more on math, and have a set number of supplies and give them a budget where they would need to purchase supplies. We can also make it more focused on social emotional by having them work in teams, assigning them roles, working through a goal setting at the beginning, and then a reflection piece on the end. So we really look for activities that can bridge their needs, but we can also customize based on the campus and the student.
So is this one that you created yourself, or I understand that there's a similar activity out there, but this one you did some of your own work on?
So we have done this one in the past. Some of my site coordinators had developed it on their own, but then last summer, when the pandemic hit and we were looking for resources, we did find a very similar activity available from Dallas After School in their Wonder Kits. And so then we did purchase some of those and use that one kind of as a base to build off of.
Okay, great. So this is something that resonated with your staff, and so you went ahead and purchased it. So what do you tell your staff about academics and enrichment? It sounds like you guys are able to kind of customize.
So we're as you mentioned, in a very rural district. So one thing we always look at is what do we have, what resources do we have, and what can we do with what we have? So this was a great activity because you could build a bridge out of popsicle sticks, you could build it out of straws, you could build it out of marshmallows. So we always marshmallows and like toothpicks, but we always look at what we have available. And then the other thing we stress is when you're planning an enrichment activity, to plan more time than you think it will take so that your staff can take opportunity for those teachable moments. They can take advantage of that. So if we're working on this activity and we notice our kids really need speaking skills and need to practice their presentation skills, we will add at the end that they're going to present and share about their bridge and reflect on why they designed it that way. If they need to help with math, we might see a moment where we can stop and practice, like, let's add up how many sticks did you use on this side and how many sticks did this bridge use. So we just like to build in time to capitalize on teachable moments.
That's great. Now you mentioned how rural your districts are, and the reason ESC 12 is the project directors, because a lot of these districts are so small, they don't have the capacity to actually manage the grant. So that's part of your role in this. But how do very small rural districts, are there specific challenges that they may face that others may not, that we just want to call out?
I would say there are definitely challenges in being rural. They are limited in their partnerships. Some of our programs are in areas where they might not have a grocery store or a Dollar General or a Walmart within a 30 to 45-mile radius. Mm-hmm. So resources can be limited. Transportation can be a challenge, and Staffing can be, we staff our programs with mostly staff from the school in some capacity. We try to use a mix of core day teachers and then paraprofessionals, which is a benefit in that we are very aligned with the school, but it is also can be a challenge.
Yeah. I think, Texas is so big. There's just so many different flavors of programs out there. But we do want to recognize that, we have an array of experiences out there, and that folks in our rural areas, it's not only challenges, there's probably a lot of benefits as well. So there are things that they can do in very rural areas that are really challenging for urban areas. So thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. Can you hang around so that people can ask you questions in the chat if they need to?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. Because I'm going to move on through some more content. And I know a lot of people resonate with your experience. And just thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. When we talk about deciding what your enrichment activities, so you've looked at your campus, you've looked at your district, and you want to look at your community, and recognizing that there are so many different types of communities, sizes, and everything in Texas that can look different in different places. So you might want to look, these are just really common things to kind of get your gears moving. Outdoor activities. Nearly every community will have some sort of parks and rec, county parks, state parks, national parks, even athletic fields. They're not just for athletics. There can be other activities held at athletic fields as well. And then just getting out there, having adventures. Maybe there's museums, libraries, resources through higher education, which range from junior colleges through universities, and nonprofits. You may have parents in your community that volunteer with organizations or that have connections that can help your program. Think about service projects. Can you help a nonprofit deliver a project over the summer that your students would be interested in, and they can earn service hours? Also, area employers are excellent to tap into as volunteers for teaching, for potential internships and all kinds of training. Employers love to come and visit our programs and have us visit them. And there's also things they will do to help support your program, just to help the community grow its resources. Oops, sorry about that. So when we think about partners, employers, universities, it could be any of those things, any of those that I just named on the previous slide. What is a high quality or good fit kind of partnership? It's when you have a good partner, you're going to expand the capacity of your organization and that partner's organization to reach shared goals. So once we have those shared goals, we may be doing different things and have different roles in getting that done, but we help each other out by expanding each other's capacity to do so. So we have aligned program needs. You want a partner that actually can show you evidence of success. Have you done this before? Who can attest to that? How do I know that? What is the quality of the content of whatever it is that they're providing? And this doesn't always, a partner isn't just a service provider or someone who's coming in and doing lessons with students. It may be somebody that you consult with on the design of your program, or for working with families. It could be any aspect of your program. It could be somebody that helps you interpret data or analyze your data. So what is the quality of what they're doing, and do they have the capacity? A lot of times, oh, I want to do it so bad, but unless they can really, they have the staff and they're not too overcommitted, then they can help you out. So also, are they going to respond to you when you need something? Are they going to really stay aligned with your needs? And other considerations to think about are there may be partners that can provide you with in-kind contributions like volunteer time, so they can become staff time. They may help you with supply donations, things like that. And always have a partnership and data sharing agreement. We want to make sure that we are in compliance with things like FERPA and other things. But also partnership agreements will help you manage that partnership and stay in focused on your shared goals. So to that end, I have another guest here today, two guests. We have Brenda Ware from the YMCA of Greater Houston. And then we have Eric Torres, who's a principal at one of the elementary schools in Aldine ISD. And this is an example of a partnership. So I wanted to bring them in to talk a little bit about their experience being partners. And so welcome, you two.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you for being here today. I was talking with Brenda, who is actually a Texas ACE grantee. The YMCA of Greater Houston is the grantee. This is an example of the nonprofit organization is our grantee, and they partner with multiple schools. So, and in talking with Brenda, she was just super excited about the success that she's had working with you, Mr. Torres, at Ermel Elementary School. So I wanted you guys to just maybe take a second and tell us about what really makes your partnership work well. And I'll let either one of you start, I guess.
Ladies first.
Okay, great. Thank you. Like Christina was saying, thank you. The partnership that we have at Aldine is a great partnership. We have lots of enrichment activities. They align with the school day. And some of the great pieces to that are who's involved. We have teachers from the school, paraprofessionals from the school. Some of our staff were students at this school at one point, or at least in the Aldine district. And I'll let Mr. Torres speak for himself, but I know for us, for example, our STEM lessons are taught in the afternoon by the science teacher during the day. So we know that their TEKS aligned, we know the children connect with the teacher, and then we know the quality of enrichment that we're getting in the afternoon.
So yes, it's pretty amazing to see the transition between the school day and then the after school activities from the 21st century and the YMCA. And how the majority of the staff that participates in the after school is from our building. But not only the staff, like she mentioned, my secretary, she has classes after school with the kids as well. And we even have former students that are now participant, or actually they're helping out after school as well. They're employees. And one of them was my old student, when I taught here at Ermel when I was a teacher as well. And so it's really nice to see that. I remember she joined because her little brother is actually a participant of the Y after school. And so she kind of, she wanted to volunteer, but we don't do volunteers. So she's actually an employee now. And it's really cool to see her again and have her back on the campus. So like Ms. Ware was saying, the great activities such as the soccer games, the physical activity games, working on SEL, and not only those enrichment, the typical enrichment activities that we like to say, but also working on writing books which is also can also be an enrichment type of activity when you make it more fun and a little bit less relaxed, because we're not taking grades, obviously, right? And so
Exactly.
during the academic time, we focus a lot on the academic piece and the grades, but making it fun for the kids is a great deal.
Yeah,
It sounds-
Christy. Oh, I'm sorry. I think in one of the other webinars, they talked about the Right Brain books, and that's what the kids, when he referred to the kids writing books, that's what they're using in the after-school program.
Well, that's great. Yeah, Right Brain is a supporter of Texas ACE at our conference, and
Mhm.
so that's great to see that working for you. It sounds like what I've heard about Aldine, and especially your campus, is that you have a lot of folks that stay in Aldine or return to Aldine, or graduates from Aldine that stay in the community. Are you also a graduate of Aldine?
Yes, so I actually came here and attended elementary at Ermel, all the way from kinder through fourth grade. And I graduated from Eisenhower here in Aldine as well. And my first teaching position was back at Ermel. And now I'm principal at Ermel. And so I'm hoping eventually we'll change the school name to Torres Elementary. I've been here long enough, right? My parents still live in the community, and I have friends who have kids that attend Ermel. And so
Great.
I am lucky enough. I know it's very rare for this to happen, but I am lucky enough to have that connection and that close knit connection with the community to be able to, call them up and say, hey, come and get your kid, or hey, what's going on at home, or how can I help? And so,
Mhm.
so I really know the community, which is a big advantage. And that's another way that we can get the community to connect with our campus, right? Because essentially, after this whole year of the learning loss that we've had, we really want the community to be more part of the school, so that there's not that much of a divide or a chasm between us, so that we can help and the parents can help as well.
That's great. How do your communities then view the summer? Do you have buy-in for that? And what are tangible things that the district can do to help get kids to the summer program?
So the district is working on several things for summer learning. I'm not sure if we're going through Texas Home Learning at all, but we will have a summer accelerated program. Obviously, because we have so many kids that are still virtual, that we want to make sure that they try to, we want them to catch up, right? And so summer is going to be a big deal for us, but especially for Ermel, we are pending board approval to work on and begin ADSI, which is the additional day school year. And hopefully we're going to the board in a couple of weeks on the 20th. Hopefully we get it approved. We're very confident that we will get it approved. We've put in a lot of work already. We've had several parent meetings, parent feedback, community meetings. We've talked to to staff members, and even conducted surveys with the children to see how they feel. And there have been some outliers. About 5% of the community has given their feedback regarding the shortened summer for their kids because of the ADSI planning. And some of the things that we've heard is, well, we usually go on vacation during this time. What are we going to do in that case? It's kind of weird for us as educators to hear, well, that's too much school. And so when I heard that, I was, what is going on here? Some of the kids haven't been in school at all since last March. And so,
right, yeah. Okay, so it sounds like you really embedded in your community, and with this ADSI initiative, it's going to give you an opportunity to have more time with your students, but really listening to what the campus needs are and being able to work with that shorter summer timeframe is something you've been able to be flexible with, and the YMCA has been able to be flexible with. And I know as a Texas ACE program, we've been flexible with campuses as they're dealing with new year-round schedules or things like that are popping up, probably more so because of COVID. So I need to move on to some other slides, But will you guys hang out in the chat for any questions about partnerships or your community?
Absolutely.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so real quick, there are a whole lot of other resources out there to consider when you're thinking about enrichment. I'm just going to take a second and highlight a few. Texas Parks and Wildlife has tons of free opportunities and materials up on their website for you. So they have a calendar of events. There's just kind of all kinds of offerings and resources up there. So TEKS aligned as a great place to go to kind of start. Another one is funded by the Mott Foundation, which does a lot of work in the enrichment space. They've developed and invested in a free app that has enrichment activity that has been screened for quality and content and alignment with learning standards. And it also comes with management tools for the folks running the enrichment program. So you can do your scheduling in there, you can do your student counts, you can move things around. You can, there's also messaging, so you can set your team up in there to message with each other. And the contents is submitted by professional enrichment staff and programs and screened for quality. So check that out. It's a relatively new one, but super exciting. And then finally, this Texas A&M AgriLife Extension is one of the most common partnerships that we see in Texas ACE because they have extension offices in 250 counties in Texas with multiple offerings. And they have several programs. The most common ones we see are 4-H and junior master gardening. There's others. Put them in the chat if you use them. I'm sure people on here do. There's a whole network of professionals that can help you with building lessons or come out to your site, or you go to their site, vice versa. There's all kinds of options up here. Fun stuff. And it's not all for rural communities. There's tons of resources in here for urban as well. So with that in mind, this slide is just showing you a few examples, high level of national, state, and local partners that the Texas ACE program works with and TEA works with. But take a minute at this point, maybe, and think about your own community. Maybe some of these resonate with you here on the slide, but maybe this has also greased your wheels a little bit to get you thinking about who you might want to approach or work with in a summer program. So if you have ideas, put those in the chat. Let us know what you're using, what region it's in. That could help folks on here who may not know about resources that you use and like. So share those in there. And also, if you have any questions, now would be a great time to ask those. We've got about 4 minutes left scheduled in here. So while you put in the chat, Andrew, do you want to close out with these slides again and just go over what again?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So folks in the chat, I think the request is, hey, throw out any good ideas that you have, any good partners, just so that we can turn around and provide those for folks. So we'll ask somebody that can see the chats that are going to the panelists to just paste that back in for the group. But as that happens, just kind of closing out the summer learning framework part of this series. So we just discussed enrichment. Again, the planning tools, all these resources available at texasomlearning.org/summer. Christine, if you move to the next slide, excuse me.
So sorry, yes.
There are a few more upcoming sessions. So we do have tomorrow with the summer site operations. Brian will be leading that one. And then a few more content. I saw some people with questions about RLA supports and resources. Again, no cost resources for y'all, designed with research-based best practices at the forefront and designed specifically for Texas. 100% TEKS coverage when you're using the resources in a full year, obviously not with summer. So check those out. And then just highlighting the last opportunity, which is the middle column, which is going up now. An opportunity if you do want additional support materials, stipends for summer for any educator that's interested in piloting a Texas home learning unit that's recommended for summer. I'd encourage you to focus in on that middle column and apply for the COVID Recovery Instructional Materials Support Initiative. It's something that'll be helpful for you. And with that, next slide, Christine. We can stick around for a few more minutes. Huge thanks to Christine for leading this, Principal Torres for sharing your story and how y'all work with Brenda and her team at the YMCA in Houston to build in these great enrichment opportunities, and Dr. Michnik for you and describing how you work with your folks across Central Texas. Really appreciate it. We'll stick on for another couple minutes. Let us know what questions you have. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for all y'all do for Texas students. All right, y'all. A lot of thanks in the chat and a lot of folks dropping. So thank you again for everybody that joined, folks that led. Have a good rest of your day.